Welcome to our exciting panel conversation, building on our exciting sharing of concerns and excitements. Thank you all panelists for joining us today. We are really looking forward to a great conversation. I'm going to lightly moderate. We've prepared a bunch of questions, which they already know what they are. I don't think we'll have time to get through all of them, because what we really want is for them to share their expertise, to engage with each other, and also to engage with you. So we will invite you to ask questions whenever you are so inspired. Atia has a microphone. We are recording this, so we want to get everything that's said on the mics so that we have a complete record.
I'm going to ask everybody's name tag be facing out. They flip. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask them to reintroduce themselves also.
Okay.
So, but that's it.
I need a lot of reinforcement.
That's a good idea.
Who are you? I don't know you.
That's me. Okay, now you know.
Yeah, that's the impressive
That's
part.
why I'm sitting right here.
Well, even so, it's impressive vision sight. So I know you introduced yourselves briefly a minute ago, but now we need a little more detail about your work specifically as it relates to AI. So for example, for you as Overjet ambassador, we need to know what that means. Just, it goes up, and then you waited 3 seconds, and now you're on.
So much education, and I can't use a microphone. Thank you for your help.
It's all right. It's all right.
So my name is Dr. Bari Posner. Bari is just fine, though. I have a small private practice in Hoboken, New Jersey. I am here, again, as a clinical ambassador for Overjet, which is an AI-assisted software program. Basically means that the AI software helps interpret x-rays for patients. In addition to that, there are some insurance applications, some administrative applications that are already released now, and some very exciting things about disease progression and prevention coming through the pipeline.
Very good. Right?
Yep, that's on. Farai, Kambasha. Like I said, I am a dentist. I am local to Chicago. My practice is just outside the city in Joliet. So I am a clinical director for Heartland Dental for their doctor education program, which means that we basically partner in teaching our offices how to implement AI as we've rolled it out in all of our offices, and what that looks like. We follow up to see exactly how it's being utilized, what the uptake is for utilization, what the challenges are, and all of that stuff. So we've been doing that now for a couple of years, but it's an ongoing process, and as AI grows. I have been with Heartland for about 20 years, so it's been a good ride.
Hello, I'm still Farid from the previous section. I am the CEO of Viva AI. We do non-clinical stuff with AI that ranges from answering calls to making outgoing calls, insurance verification, following up with patients, anything and everything that is not clinical. That's what we try to help with. And I'm glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Gomez. I am the Senior Clinical Applications Manager at PDS Health. Been there for 7 years now. Background in healthcare. I am not a dentist. I do play one on TV, though, sometimes. And we began our epic journey using the EHR 2020. April 1st of 2020, in the height of the pandemic. I don't know if you guys remember that, but
and that was April Fool's Day, so they thought it was a joke.
Yep. April Fool's Day, and since then we have deployed to over 1,000 dental practices across 24 states. So, real big milestone. In addition to our dental practices, we use Epic in our primary care practices. We have 14 in Arizona and Nevada, and we are big proponents of the mouth-body connection and how dental and medical spaces intertwine, and really whole body health. As far as AI, the capacity that, in my role, is implementing Epic features that leverage AI. They come up with a lot of cute names for their applications. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Epic, but their dental application is called Wisdom. Their maternity application is called Stork. Cardiology is Cupid. So excited to kind of share some of the functionality that we've implemented and some of the projects that we're rolling out soon. Thank you.
Before you go, Rushi, can you just clarify what is PDF Health? PDS Health?
PDS Health, yeah.
Yeah.
We recently changed our name from Pacific Dental Services to
Okay.
PDS Health.
Okay, great. So you're a DSO?
What's that?
It's a DSO? Or
DSO,
Yeah, okay,
DSO.
great, thank you. Rushi?
All right, I'll go last. And my mic's off. I'll go. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. My name is Rushi Ganmukhi. My water just fell down. Let's see. Yeah, I'm the CEO of Bola AI. We do voice technology on the clinical side. So perio charting, restorative charting, treatment planning, clinical notes. Anytime you should be looking at the patient, we are there helping you. Oh, I would have gotten it. We are there helping you record into your practice management system. My background is in natural language processing. I was a researcher at MIT. And so this is my love. Like getting computers to understand human language is just one of my big passions, and being able to apply that in a field like dentistry is amazing. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, awesome, thank you all. I put that there for you. First question is a bit of a repeat from the conversations you had in the small group, but I just want to get from each of you, what are you most excited about with respect to AI? Let's start with you, Rushi.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So we use AI internally in my company, as well, of course, selling it to dental offices and providing the solutions to them. What's really exciting is the speed at which it's improving, the speed at which new applications are coming up, which just innovation is coming up that we haven't even thought about. I just love seeing that. And I think what's really powerful today is just being able to do more, and being able to, both in dental and using the tools internally, being able to do the things you should be doing, right? And being able to follow up on emails on time, or in the clinic, being able to do a full perio charting, which we all know you should be doing, and we can all admit here that not everyone's doing that. So just really getting to that point of being able to do the things that you should be doing and giving you that power back, I think is super exciting.
Bari?
My clinical job is my job. Dentistry is my job, but my passion is patient experience. And I've been in dentistry even before a dentist for over 30 years. So whatever I can do to improve a patient experience is what I love. And through the lens of Overjet, being able to explain to a patient what caries looks like, what bone loss looks like, in a way that makes them feel empowered and maybe not stupid, for lack of a better word, is something that I'm able to give to my patients, so they're leaving feeling confident and trusting, and knowing that they can take control over their oral health and then their systemic health that way. The other thing I really love about it is that through the lens of dental assisting, I was a dental assistant for almost as long as I am a dentist now. And I always struggled as an assistant trying to keep up with what my doctors and hygienists were saying. And I felt myself left alone in rooms with patients asking me questions that I couldn't answer. And with Overjet, with AI in general, my assistants have more knowledge and more confidence in what they're saying also. So they feel better about what they're doing. And then my patients feel more confident as well. And the whole experience for everyone is better.
That's awesome. Farai?
So a lot of the same things. But the biggest thing is AI is really moving at a really fast pace, and the advancements in AI are really exciting. But I think going back to patient care, the biggest thing that we've seen, especially inside the operatory, is when a patient's able to have that second set of eyes, so to speak, that the AI provides. And now we can actually show a patient something, because back in the day you used to say, look at this x-ray, and patients would nod and say yes, and they had no idea what they were looking at, but they would, that was just the reality, and we kind of played along, and everybody kind of played this game. But now, am I lying though?
Sometimes I look at things and I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
Right. So, yeah, if you don't know, good luck, right? But now you have a situation where, not only are you getting a second opinion right away for the patient, but also the patient's able to see in color what we see that's highlighted so that they can actually see what we're seeing and what we're talking about. That gives a lot more confidence to the patient. It gives them an ability to make a decision, right, about their own health without just blindly, so to speak, trusting the doctor. But it also gives our auxiliaries, our team members, our assistants, our hygienists, the ability to show a patient and talk to them and have that discussion. Because a lot of the times when we leave the room as doctors, the patient turns to the assistant and turns to the hygienist and says, okay, what do you think, right? Every assistant will tell you the same story, right? Like, okay, he left or she left, now let's talk, in reality. And so it gives them the ability to actually have those discussions with confidence because they have the backup and they can actually show the patient something that they can understand. And I think that's the most exciting thing right now that's available to us today. What's coming in the future is going to be even more than this, but what's available right now is really exciting.
So we'll get to the what's coming part shortly. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to jump in for just one more thing to piggyback on what you were saying, and I'm sure you have hundreds of doctors working with you. I only have 2. But I think that the other thing, especially with AI-assisted radiographs, I think that gives us a consistency amongst providers that wasn't there before. So I know when I'm here in front of you wonderful people and my associate is treating a patient, my associate is going to say the same thing that I'm going to say. Or when I walk into a room after a hygienist has told a patient this may be an area of interest, I'll support my hygienist and not disagree with her. So that consistency really adds to that confidence also.
Very good. Thanks. Robert?
So much to be excited about, but I think for me, it's really making history. I truly believe that this is not different than the Industrial Revolution. This is a revolution, and we're either going to adapt with the times and leverage the tools, or we're going to become the next Blockbuster or Tower Records. We really want to be able to set ourselves apart, and patients want that distinction. They want to be able to know that we offer the best, and that we don't hold back. And I think AI gives us that opportunity.
Very nice. Farid?
Well, it's a lot of what everybody said, but when it comes to specifically to what we do, the main thing is I'm excited to meet patients where they are. What I mean by that is that imagine, where we sit is between the office and the patients most of the time. We also sit between vendors and the dental office. Anything that goes out of the dental office, we are sitting in between. So, but the majority of it is patients. Imagine that, how much cost it would be to have a concierge write down every interest of your patient, everything about them, every like, dislike treatments, what they like to do. And then when they call, speak their language. If there's not English, speak it. Also know what they are, what they talked about last time, what's the style of their communication. Are they one of the types that they would like to have explanation about every single case, or are they one of the ones to kind of want to know overall what the impact of things are? Yes, it's possible to run such an office, but the overhead of it would be so much that it's just not financially feasible. I'm excited that we are not there yet, but it's going to that direction that the communication and the customization is per patient. When patients call, we or when we call patients, we know how to talk to them. We know who that patient is, what was the last topic that they brought up. We actually can pick it up from there. We could communicate different channels, like move a conversation over text, call, and then basically meet them where they are. And that's the level of customization that improves overall patient treatment, treatment acceptance, all of that actually at the end of the day, while we are helping the offices kind of reduce their cost, we also help with showing giving the patient the best kind of experience so that they understand what the value of the treatments are, what they need to do, and things like that, so that at the end of the day, improving patient health without killing the bank, that's the idea, and that's what we are excited about.
So let me just ask a question for clarification, because I'm not sure. When you say we talk to the patient, that's we an AI talking to the
Yes.
patient, or we a human talking to the patient?
So the goal is the same thing, right? So we obviously, I'm talking on behalf of the product that we have. So the AI. So the AI talks to the company, to the patients, and we switch channels. We answer incoming, make outgoing. We talk to insurance companies. So if you want insurance eligibility verification, you don't want to call the insurance company. We call the insurance companies and we get the eligibility verification. It's basically the style of communication, what we are able to do now. Obviously, humans can actually do it too. Obviously, it's not. But the first thing is they hate it. This is not. Nobody goes to work and say, "Yay, I'm going to make 200 calls to patients that don't want to talk right now," or I don't want to call insurance companies because most insurance, if you have a software or something, you already know eligibility is some of the companies are just not accurate. At the end of the day, you have to make a phone call or you have to ask for a fax back. Nobody goes to work excited about this. The people are excited about talking to patients, so we give them the time back to do what they love to do. To focus on the patient when the patient is in the office. And that's the thing that AI will never, ever replace. But we do the other stuff that they hate in a way that if an office wanted to do it properly, like the way we are doing it, they have to hire so many staff that it's just not financially feasible. So that's, and then at the end of the day, the result of it as to patients knowing and being comfortable as to, hey, I need this treatment because the AI that talked to me, and by the way, in 30% of the cases, they don't know that they're talking to AI. And it's going to get way worse. Our AI has been asked on a date 3 times. I am not kidding. So the reason for that was they were thinking...
Was it a fun date?
Huh? No, they thought that they actually are talking to the front desk, and they kind of make a mistake as to, hey, are you Melissa? So, but at the end of the day, it's like a concierge service that the AI knows exactly how to talk to patients, the communication style, the language, the speed of which the information can be transferred. And even though that's very possible to do this with humans, but the number of hours that they have to put into things to make this possible is just not financially feasible.
Okay, very good. Thanks for clarifying. So the next theme I want to talk about is adoption. So I would classify all 5 of you as early adopters, either as technologists or in your practices. So in the realm of innovation, the notion of adoption talks about there's an innovation and initially a small number of people start using it and then more, and the innovations that are successful get into the mainstream. Not all innovations do get in the mainstream. And so we're interested in understanding what you're seeing with respect to adoption, either because you're an adopter, like you, Robert, or Rushi, like you are. People are adopting your software, Farid adopting your software, et cetera. And of course, where the question leads is how soon do we think that AI will be pervasive? And how impactful. So Robert, you mentioned that you think it's moving really fast and it's revolutionary. It's like the Industrial Revolution. So talk to us about adoption a little bit.
Sure. First, before we get into that, you use facts and AI in the same sentence. So, I mean, we have to meet the patients where they're at, but we also have to meet the offices where they're at. And if they're using faxes and other forms of technology, you know, the jump to AI is going to be pretty significant. And
Right.
we really need to be respectful of that learning curve. As far as adoption, one of the AI projects that we implemented earlier this year in January was in-basket AI. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Epic, in-basket is task management portion of Epic. It's very similar to Outlook, only it's secure. And patients have the ability to message their providers medical advice messages. And so this AI, like I mentioned earlier, Epic always has cute names. The name of this project is ART. So every time I talk about the ART project, I think of finger painting and popsicle sticks, but no, it's a little bit more advanced than that. It stands for Assisted Response Technology. And so what it does is a patient could send a medical advice request to their provider through MyChart, the patient portal, and then AI reviews the content of the message, it reviews the patient's chart, and it drafts a response to that message.
So you're talking current time.
Current
That's
time.
the current capability.
Current capability.
Okay. And tell us about the adoption of that.
Yeah, so we slow rolled this project knowing that we needed to meet our users where they were at.
Your users being the other the
Yes,
practices in the DSO, right?
Yes. So we started with a pilot group of providers, solely providers to begin with. And then as part of that pilot, we understood that, you know, the triage of a lot of the patient messages are happening by the support staff, by the DAs. And so we expanded the technology to the DAs. like it was mentioned earlier, they're the heartbeat of the office, right? So we expanded the functionality to support staff, and we saw immediately an increase in adoption. And so it's technologies like this that really highlight efficiencies. It brings information into one spot rather than the user having to go through the chart and review. And it's really cutting down on time, administrative time. And
what level of adoption do you have now across PDS?
we've rolled it out to all of our offices, both medical and dental. And the adoption rate is about 60%.
Okay.
But those users that use it consistently is more like 90% adoption.
When do you think you'll be at 100%?
I think overall we have an opportunity to increase in-basket adoption as a whole in messaging. Mm-hmm. Really, there wasn't something equivalent to it before they had Epic, right? The patient called the office, and that's how they got a hold of their doc. So there's still some opportunity there, and I think as we continue to roll out additional functionality related to in-basket, like one of the other AI projects we're going to be working on this upcoming year is prioritization of the messages. So identifying the urgency based on the content of the message. So I think that will definitely help boost adoption.
Okay, very great. Farai, can you talk about adoption in your practices?
Yeah, so we rolled out our AI, was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, to about 1,700 offices in 3 months. So it was a big push to get it in the offices, have our doctors the ability to utilize it immediately. When we did that, we saw a difference in the rate at which utilization occurs and how fast some doctors, some offices are able to jump on the bandwagon, you know, and are at 90% utilization, for example. And then there's still those laggers that will kind of be still hesitant to completely utilize the AI system. Right now, we have 3,000 doctors who have AI and utilize AI in their practice on a day-to-day basis. And more importantly, most of our hygienists, which is 6,000 of those, over 6,000 hygienists, utilize it on a day-to-day basis. So the adoption is really starting to ramp up as people get more used to it. The biggest thing right now that we saw when we first started looking and piloting AI, I actually had there was a class I was actually teaching, and we just kind of had the company come in. It was very early on. It was more than 5 years ago, actually. I think it was prior to COVID. And we kind of just threw it out there and said, hey, test this out. Let's see what you guys, and ladies think. And the feedback was actually fascinating. The people you thought would love having technology and AI at their disposal were not the ones that actually loved having technology and AI at their disposal. It was fascinating. It was literally the reverse. So that was an eye-opener for us immediately.
So what was the definition of who did and didn't actually want to use it?
Because this was literally like just random. We just happened to throw it together at the last minute for that class. But I thought that all the young doctors that came out straight out of school would be like, hey, great, I have something technology-wise I could use. Yeah, not so much.
Wow.
It was the doctors, who had been practicing for 15 plus years that were like, oh, you mean I get something else that can help with this? Great, let me utilize, because they're confident in their skills already, and they are fine having somebody or something, give them a second look or help them to focus their attention. They're fine with that. The younger doctors who maybe were not so confident already, it's kind of hard for them to grasp, okay, what am I looking at? What do I need to focus on? Do I really need to look at every single one of these things, or can I zero in on the major things that I need to look at? So it was fascinating to see that. But now we're seeing that as the past a few years have progressed, we're seeing how that's actually being adopted on a day-to-day basis in our practices and what that looks like across the board. So the adoption varies really greatly when you have a large pool like we do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of data to see like, okay, what's actually happening out there? And then how do you extrapolate that to the rest of the country and the rest of the industry as a whole is going to be interesting. Yeah.
Excellent. You had a question. Please go ahead.
I just want to know what kind of AI applications is Heartland using? Like, how are they utilizing AI?
So right now, all of our offices have Viva AI as their primary AI utilization, primarily for, obviously for radiograph analysis, but it also has a lot of other functionalities that are coming on board, including morning huddle reports, that kind of stuff. So where we prep, it helps to prep the day. Also, the ability to look at potentials for patients, like patients coming in, and you can prep everything and see what the patient needs, highlight what they might be missing, what if it's a hygiene appointment, hey, this patient is due for their x-rays, for their oral cancer screening, that kind of stuff. It will highlight all that stuff so nobody has to go through and actually do chart preps manually anymore. You actually, the AI will do it for you. There's a lot of other things coming out as well with that are on the horizon, but that's the one we're currently using. Yeah.
We'll get to the horizon part in a couple minutes. So, Barry, can you talk about adoption, not only for you and your practice, but since you're an Overjet ambassador, what you're seeing in terms of when you're talking to people about Overjet and what it can do?
I mean, I don't have anywhere near 1,700 doctors. I can tell you there are 3 doctors in my practice, and 66% of our doctors use it. I was actually in North Carolina yesterday, speaking for Overjet, and there were 24 doctors there, some general, some mixed specialty, and I asked the room of 24 doctors, some male, some female, some older, some younger, who utilizes AI software in their practice on a day-to-day basis, and literally not one person raised their hand. So 1, they're not aware of the fact that they're using AI, which is a little bit frightening, but 2, they're also, across the board, none of them, which was fascinating to me. I have plenty of friends and colleagues who use it, and I don't know if that was a demographic thing. I don't think so, in terms of Overjet or AI software for radiographs. But I think that far fewer doctors are using it than should be.
So, well, if you look at it from our perspective, 100% of our users are using it. So that's not. So.
But you haven't penetrated, you haven't saturated the market yet, right?
But there are some interesting metrics. Well, I used to I used to have a DSO, like with not Heartland, but like 14 locations. And then, we created a software, because I've been in the dental industry for a long time. And on the software side, in terms of different aspects of it, one thing that is significantly different, first of all, is what you said, as to what you think the profile of the people that are coming to look for it is not at all what you were expecting. It's actually more experienced doctors with us as well. The ones that are right, like younger and all that, like in their 30s, they are a little bit reluctant, as kind of not sure, but our majority of our customers are 45 and up. And by up, I mean up to like 65. And they are the ones that they come and find us, they use us, and they keep using it. Another thing that is very different is that generally, like on the marketing side of it, since we've been involved in that side of it too, before, the cost that it would have we would have to pay to kind of get the word out, to kind of get a customer back, it was X dollar. Now the cost, because of the type of the problem that is hitting kind of a real pain, is 1/50th of it. So it's insane how much, and what it translates to is that there is an actual need for it. That's, instead of us going to kind of tell people as to, hey, there is this thing, do you want to look at it or not? People are actively looking for solutions for these problems, and that's why the cost is low. Yes?
Farai. Since you guys have a huge data set for people who use it and don't use it, do you know what the barriers are to people who don't want to use it?
What the barriers are?
Yes.
That's
The reason why. I'm sorry.
One of my jobs is trying to figure out what that is. It's really interesting, because what we have noticed is that those who use it will use it, and they won't tell you why. They'll just take it and run, right? So the ones who don't, though, what you find is it's multiple reasons. Some don't feel they need it, even though the evidence is growing that they actually do. Others feel that they don't trust it, or they feel like it is over. I'm going to put diagnosing in quotations, because it doesn't diagnose, it just highlights. But they will feel like it is over highlighting certain things. Others, we found that if a clinician is not confident in their diagnostic skills without AI, adding AI by itself does not fix that problem. It actually just adds another thing that they would have to look at, that they now add into their decision-making process, which paralysis by analysis tends to happen. So it depends on where that person is in those buckets. But it's not an easy one thing, hey, if I just fix this, everybody will adopt it. That's not the case. Humans, unfortunately, are really weird like that, and so we have different reasons and different, what we're seeing across the board is that there's different adoption, the reasons for not having the adoption rates that we would anticipate we would have. Even if the evidence strongly suggests that it works and that it's actually beneficial to the patient, doctors are weird. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna stop right there.
Question over there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am in the education space, and I find this fascinating that these younger doctors or providers are really not wanting to adopt AI. What do you think the opportunities are into incorporating some of this base level education into their base education? So in dental assisting programs, hygiene programs, dental schools, do you think that might help with adoption?
Great question. So one of the opportunities that we have at PDS Health is that we have two customers right now, and they're both dental schools, High Point University and Rosemary University. And they're on our instance of Epic. So we get to pretty much educate the future doctors that when they go into their private practice or if they work for a DSO, they're going to want to use the system that they were trained in. And so introducing AI functionality at that level, their educational level, I think it's going to open doors and hopefully change that pattern that you guys are seeing where newer docs are more interested in leveraging some of the AI functionality.
Great, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to take off just from there because working with the dental schools, the hygiene schools, the assisting schools, those coming out, they don't have exposure to it. You're exactly right because they can't afford to get them into the schools. It doesn't matter if it's clinical or voice or anything. They just can't afford to get them in there. So the two schools you mentioned are very progressive, supported schools. And if we could get this into all the schools, I think you'd have graduates coming out more comfortable with adopting it in wherever they go to work. So.
Absolutely. And the other gap that we're seeing is that even if they are using Epic, it's usually because they're part of a larger health system that is primarily medically based. So they don't have the emphasis on dentistry. So even in that space, we've done some consulting and offered some advice on how they could motivate their Epic teams to kind of reshift that focus and leverage some of the same tools that you would see on the medical side.
Excellent, thank you. Go ahead.
My question is, when is this going to become standard of care, especially with radiographs? Because we have two large DSOs already using it, talking about possible implementation into education, but yes, it's assisting docs in diagnosis, but is it going to be that standard of care and when?
I don't know. I don't know when that will happen. I can tell you that in our ecosystem, when it comes to dentistry, patients at some point are gonna want to see that, and that's kind of one of the things that we're seeing is that the market might actually drive that adoption faster than the regulatory requirements might. Because regulatory will always kind of lag a little bit. It is a little bit more conservative, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the chief technology officer for Align Health once he said this a few years ago. He said this at one of our meetings, and he said, "Technology will not replace dentists, but it will replace dentists who don't use technology." Right? So AI will not replace dentists. It will replace those that don't use it. And patients are going to want to see, hey, show me that thing that, the other doctor showed me that I could see where is that? That's when you're going to see that exponential growth in that.
To kind of reiterate, so there are two things. So we are working with a bunch of clinical X-ray AI companies as well. There is one aspect of it that, for example, Overjet is working with insurances. So on the insurance side, they actually do it. So it's much easier for dental offices to kind of get their, insurance claim approved if they actually also use a similar technology on this side, because it's technology to technology is much easier. It's not a regulation thing. It's just because it's easier, it would make it that way. On the patient side, as he said, so we actually have this, because we are the ones communicating with patients, we are integrating with kind of getting that clinical information from the AIs that are in that space to kind of translate it as, for the lack of a better word, like a second opinion to when the patient calls us, says, hey, or when we call the patient and say, hey, you have this root canal or whatever that is on that you need, they start asking as to why. Normally, without the kind of the X-ray stuff, we are limited to what the dentist actually entered into the practice management software, which is a limited view of it, which may not be complete kind of explanation of that scenario. What we do, we actually look at it and on the X-ray side as well, and then explain it in a way that the patient understands, and that it has been super exciting for patients because it translates what they didn't know, or maybe in the office they didn't have time to actually explain it properly, or for whatever reason might be. The adoption, the kind of the push is coming from, it won't come from the regulatory kind of bodies. It's from the business side, like insurances, as well as the patient wanting to actually use this when it comes to them. So I think it will be faster than what many may think, but won't be driven by regulations.
Yeah, I agree with that. It won't be driven by regulation. I think, like you guys all mentioned, I think patients will really drive it. When they come to expect their radiograph is marked up, when they come to expect they're going to talk to an AI receptionist, when they come to expect their hygienist or dental staff will be speaking to them and the computer will be recording, I think that's really going to drive the change. And so I think, yeah, that's where it will be driven from.
Just to add, it's going to happen soon. It's going to become mainstream soon. And if you don't provide your offices a pathway to get there, what I worry is that they will come up with their own means of getting AI into the office, which could be copy and pasting into ChatGPT, and then all the risks that could pose. So I know in my small group earlier I mentioned the quote from Jurassic Park: "Life finds a way," and your offices will find a way to leverage AI, whether you're on board with it or not.
We have a couple more questions.
One final note, and I agree with all of the patient-driven stuff. There are two types of marketing. There's push marketing and pull marketing. So as dentists, there'll be companies coming after us that say exactly what the CTO said. If you're not with it, that's fine. You don't have to be with it, but you'll be replaced by it. From the other side, as a patient, I know I just got an email from some random medical insurance company that said, expect that you will have AI at your next visit. So we have our patients being told to expect this. However, I think that the other part of that triangle, that trifecta that's really being ignored here is our, as a dentist, our clinical support team and our front desk support team. When we have people like you sitting here learning about how amazing this is, and you can go back to your dentist, whoever that is, and say, listen, I really think we're missing an opportunity here, that's going to drive a lot more than just a patient wanting it. I think that when my team members come to me and said, hey, listen, I heard about this great product, or I just came from a great CE, my ears are open.
Yeah, I had a question, and there's a lot of AI tools out there today, and you've all chosen the ones you've chosen, and they continue to evolve. What's your process, though, of assessing those tools, and what's your process to decide which one to go with and then bring it in-house? If you could just touch on that, would be great.
Whoever gives it to me for free.
That's always the starting point. That's always the starting point.
I'm not going to say I don't say yes to that, but that's not the only criteria. I really do listen to my colleagues first and foremost if they have some sort of experience. I am a CE junkie, so if I have somebody, an authority figure to me, somebody I trust, telling me that this is something I should be trying, that's what I'll bring in. And the same thing, I really do bring in a lot of what my team tells me about. I'll do my research and my due diligence, and then if it's for free.
I mean, kind of piggybacking on that, we've seen a lot of success with the try it before you buy it, right? You guys are in let's say in the consumer space, you're used to that. You're used to trying out ChatGPT, you're used to trying out apps before you fully commit to it. And I think that's one of the things we found a lot of success with, right? Get this thing in, start trying it. Is it improving something? Is it improving something in your office that's a problem? And then kind of building on top of that. But I think that's the initial stage. It's not the full I'm sure Heartland and PDS can speak more to that. But
Yeah, there's so many options, right? And it can become overwhelming, and it's like every month there's something new that comes out, and you don't want to just go with the shiny new object. You really do want to put thought into how is this going to create efficiencies? How is this going to improve the patient experience? How can I leverage this to support my staff to be able to work to the best ability, to the full scope of their practice, right? And so it's important to start small. At least that's what we've learned from experience, to be able to pilot in different regions, in different parts of the country, with different types of users. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And if a certain functionality isn't really producing the results that you were expecting, it's okay to go back to the drawing board and refine it.
Very good. Yeah, question over there.
Okay. I have a question. I'm thinking, I'm just going to give you a scenario. When the implant business came out, you know, we had this company, and the doctor had to decide, am I going to go with this one? And then he did, and then a better one came out, and then he had to buy that system because you were married to the system, basically, when you bought that implant system. And you expected your restoring dentist to actually get the restorative part of it. Okay, so now let's go to AI. So I can buy the first AI from you or you, and 5 years from now, is it going to be obsolete? Probably, right? So as a dentist or a dental office manager, how would you figure out which one should I go with? Will I be able to grow with this company? Or I'm just going through that process. And then going off of what Katie's question was too, I think AI is somewhat already standard of care when it comes to implant dentistry, right? We expect a cone beam CT, don't we? We don't go with panos anymore, hardly. So that, to me, is kind of a standard of care that you expect now when you do implant dentistry.
Yeah, so great question. Let me ask one thing before I answer. What would be your ideal scenario? So not thinking about AI, from the old systems. So you wanted product X, and then you switched to product Y. What would have made it possible and easy for you to say, it's great, I'm gonna be fine picking product A, because even if I want to switch to product B, it's a breeze. What would you want to see back then that convinced you that's a possibility? Was there anything that they could have shown you that says, hey, if you pick A, you could easily move to B?
That would be a great marketing. That would be
right.
Great.
So,
because
my point being, back in the day, most of this, especially in the dental space, right? Start from the bottom stack, which is the practice management software, and then you build on top of it. Even practice management softwares have had issues with giving you the data to move to another one. And so there were companies that consultants that they would just copy this data from this one and push it to that one, and then you would miss some data, some patients were missing. It was not a good experience. Now, good thing, well, let me start from the bad thing. The bad thing is, because the stack, the lower part of the stack is still kind of similar, you're still depending on your Dentrix, you're still depending on whatever software stack you have down here, to kind of move, it makes some parts of the scenario a little bit not as portable. But the good thing about AI is most AI products, and I'm not saying all, most AI products, if they have some standards that they actually follow, you should be able to export all of your data, everything that the AI learned, everything that platform learned, and give it to a supposedly superior AI with the same capabilities, right? Or with better ones. So obviously, if you're moving from an AI solution that supports a range of things and you're moving to a platform that doesn't have as big of a range, obviously this direction wouldn't work. But the other way, it's possible to actually do, and like some AI companies, including us that we actually know of, we actually will allow you to export your data. It's your data, and you could actually, if the company that you're moving to supports an import, you're fine. Now, do they support the import or not? Who knows? But that's it. The good news is it's much better than what the old software world was. Is it ideal? Probably not, but it's better.
Completely agree with that. I'll take that question from a different angle, which is when you sign up for a product, when you sign up for an AI product, part of it is you're also signing up for the company that you're working with, right? You want you want to know that company's nimble, that company's going to move quick, that company's you're probably expecting them to have like 3 new products out by the time you're thinking about them again, right? And the market is moving incredibly fast with new products, pace of innovation, features, new products just launched every single day. And so you want to make sure the companies you sign up for really do have a solid product roadmap and that they have a solid team behind that to execute on it. I guarantee you, everyone here, right, when you're making a sale, especially to a bigger organization, you guys ask product roadmap, what's coming next, what's down the road, what's 2 years down the road, and you're signing up for all of that when you actually sign up for the product.
Yeah, kind of the same question here. So I can tell you from our perspective, when we were looking at AI, and I said like we were looking at it 5 years ago, right? Right at the beginning of this era, we piloted multiple of them, like in our practices, like gave 20 practices this one, 30 practices that one, 30 practices that one. And we looked at everything, and we looked at utilization, we looked at usefulness. One of the things that we really thought about when we were looking at why we went with a certain one over another one, in this case, Viva AI, was the partnership with the company that we were working with. That was one of the biggest things, because I met the CEO at Viva of Viva. I mean, he was like literally just starting out. He just t-shirt, jeans, and and we would be talking to him as they're building it. We were talking to them so even today, if we ask them, hey, you know what, they take feedback from our 3,000 doctors and 6,000 plus hygienists, and they take all that feedback, and the next iteration, if we say, hey, this is not quite what we operating the way we want it to, we need you to change it, we have the ability to actually influence how that's going to happen. And so from a size perspective, that helps us because we're not relying on a company's roadmap. We're saying, no, here's the roadmap, right? Which is helpful for us. So now if you're a single practice, that's not a possibility. And so you now have to figure out, okay, who do I piggyback onto? And which one do I pick and why? That's a bigger decision if you're an individual practice. Which is why, at the end of the day, like we're saying, there's going to be a consolidation of operating systems and AI that's going to happen in a way that they have to be able to talk to each other, and they have because at the end of the day, we have 90% of the dental industry is still small, individual practices or small DSOs, right? And that's great, no problem. But you can't have that many different operating systems. You can't have that. Just like what happened with Dentrix, Eaglesoft, and it all came. Okay, now everyone's pretty much on like these 4 or 5 systems, and that's it. You're gonna get to that point, and they all have to be able to talk to each other at some point. Yeah.
And
I want to interrupt you, just in the interest of time. We have one more question, and then I'm going to ask a question, and then we're going to be out of time. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like a lot of this AI platforms you guys have are really geared towards dentists. But as Bari and Robert touched on, the person who is doing all the triage is the dental assistant. And if someone's coming in because they want you to look at something, they're in a vulnerable state. So that encounter with the dental assistant is very important. And that's why they trust that person, because they feel like they're confiding in them something, right? I have a secret. There's something wrong with me. Can you help me? And of course, they're intimidated by the doctor. They don't feel like they can relate to the doctor. What are you doing to empower and market to dental assistants? Because as you've mentioned, hurdles, you know, I have formal education, I have work experience, I've been able to overcome those, but there's dental assistants that don't have that, that can't overcome those hurdles. So what are you doing for them? I know a lot, obviously, yes, you self-market to the dentist, but what are you doing to empower them with AI?
So like I mentioned, the project that we went live with, we had to pivot. We had to include dental assistants, front office staff, to be able to leverage the functionality. They're truly the front line. The next project that we're working on is Outpatient Insights. And what it does is it summarizes the patient's previous notes over the course of the last 3 years, up to 30 notes, to kind of prep for what before the patient comes in. The nice part about leveraging Epic is that it also pulls in outside organization notes. So if the patient went to the emergency room or they had an inpatient visit, it consolidates that into a summary that would take the average provider about 17 minutes to do a summary of. It happens in 15 seconds. And the dental assistants will be able to focus that summary into dental specifically, but an area of interest. If you want to know about extractions, you can focus the search to be more specific. So it's really making the tools available to the dental assistants so that they can help support the providers in chart prep.
All right, thank you all.
Just one thing on that, sorry.
Real quick, Farai, real quick.
So for us, like a lot of the people who use it the most are actually our team members. So our team members utilize it way more. They discuss it with the patient. So that's the biggest part of that AI, the ability to actually have our team members, our dental assistants, our hygienists have those discussions with the patient so doctor doesn't have to sit there for 30 minutes talking to that patient. So it's actually, when we train our teams, it's more about you guys than the doctor. But yeah, that's the big part.
Yeah, great, thank you. So we only have about 10 more minutes. Couple things. You're all staying for lunch, right? So in 10 minutes, we're going to have lunch together at the table. So I would just ask the 5 of you not to sit all together, so that those of you who weren't able to ask questions of them, you can sit near them and chat over lunch. And then obviously we're still working this afternoon together, so you'll have those opportunities. The last question that I'm going to ask, and I'll just ask each of you to address it, is around where you think AI is going to be in dentistry and the time frame in looking to the future is always a little sketchy. Like in 3-ish years or 4-ish years, how much more impact will AI have in dentistry than it has today? And of course, what's behind the question is simply helping us to understand what's the rate of adoption, how quickly do those organizations who are not up to speed with AI need to get up to speed, or to your point about what the dentist association person said, they just get left behind. So how fast is it going to go? Where are we going to be in 2-3 years? Rushi, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start this off. So I think can we take 3 to 5 years? That's fair. All right, I think in 3 to 5 years, the technology is really going to be ubiquitous in dental offices. I think tools like that are available today are going to be commonplace.
Hang on, did you turn that off by mistake? It needs to be loud. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, I think it's going to be commonplace. I think they're going to be across the board used. I think it's going to be primarily patient-driven. So really excited about that. I think they're going to be much more integrated and seamless so that they don't feel like 4 pieces of software on top of your practice management system that you're pulling up randomly with a patient. And yeah, part of that too is more embedded into your workflows, doing more things. I know you mentioned about the chart prep. Love that. That's a fabulous, like, single pinpointed use case that saves 17 minutes. Not sure how you measured that. That must have been a pain, but things like that. So really excited about that and the prevalence of that technology. I also think we're in that first wave of this cool new technology. We're applying a lot of technologies to workflows that already existed, right? We're applying AI to receptionists that existed, or AI to radiographs that existed, or AI to charts that existed. I think we're going to see a lot of creativity and things that we can't even imagine today that will come out in the next 5 years. An example I gave in our group was things like Uber and Instagram were not possible before the mobile phone. And so the first wave of mobile, you had all your normal apps just kind of doing what they would do on their website, just on your phone. Then you get into that second wave around like 2015-ish, and you start to see these things come out that were not possible before. And so that's really the exciting frontier that everyone should be excited for. So,
Very
excited.
Good. Thank you, Rushi. Robert?
I think that in reality, we're not going to be using the word AI in the next 3 to 5 years. I think it's just going to be first nature. It's going to be part of the workflow. We're not going to distinguish it as anything different.
The way we work.
The way we work. Just like, when we went to electronic EHR, could you imagine doing it on paper today? Maybe some of you could, but there are a lot of providers that say, how did we ever do this any way different? And I think that's really what the future looks like. I think there'll be a lot more ambient listening, where, through the conversation with the patient, as you're doing it seamlessly, it is documenting the dentition, it's documenting findings, it's documenting treatment plans, and it's all seamless and happening as part of the treatment, increasing efficiencies, and the future looks bright.
Very good, thank you. Farid?
I agree. 3 to 5 years, you probably will see each dental office will use something that is AI. I know it's a kind of a vague term. Like one product in the office that helps them. The focus of the 3 to 5 years would be reducing the work that can be helped by the AI, so that the focus can be shifted to something else, which is usually spending time with patients, doing all the other things that normally you wouldn't have time. I would say from the 5 to 10 years, the change will be the way we do dentistry today can be optimized from the ground up. It will come a little bit later once the AI tools get into the offices to kind of start making some changes. But then technically, if you look at it as he said, when you're going to the dental office right now, the doctor does the exam, then they have to do the charting in the thing, and then there is a treatment coordinator that has to do the treatment, and then you have to present it. You could do all of these things in a way more efficient way if the practice management software wasn't the way it is today. So if you can reimagine the whole thing, you wouldn't, if we were to build how dentistry is done today, we wouldn't build it the way it is today. But we kind of got this legacy system. We can't just change it overnight. But from the 5 to 10 years, the system will be very different from what it is today.
Very good, thank you. Farai?
I think there's going to be a lot of changes. If you look at where we started off with was the low-hanging fruit, right? We kind of took the, reading radiographs, borrowed that from medicine, where that really kind of took off, and then went with that. So that's the low-hanging fruit. What the second phase and third phases is, I agree, there's going to be a lot more ubiquitous use of AI in other areas of dentistry. So, for example, revenue cycle management, right? That's going to be a big one, where, if, like, your AI will be able to, pull a radiograph and image, and then the notes, and pull all that relevant information together and send it off to your insurance for you, without a BA having to do that. That could be part of it, where instead of writing narratives for appeals and stuff, AI will handle all of that. So there's a lot of opportunities that are non-patient facing that will come, that I think will actually supersede in terms of value the radiograph, kind of the fun stuff. But it's gonna look like it's boring on the front end, but a lot of that, right? The notes, like that's gonna be like nobody's like notes, but that's a big deal. If you really look at the time saving that actually goes into that, and then are the notes gonna be more consistent? Are they gonna be more accurate? Are you gonna be able to search your notes? Imagine being able to just go through and say, hey, I want to search for this in these notes, and it pops up everything that pulls it, that kind of stuff. So those things I think are going to be a lot more ubiquitous in the next 3 to 5 years. And we're starting to see it actually starting to crop up now, even, with us, where you're starting to get pilots for these things, and you're starting to see how these work and how much of a workload it's going to take off of our front desk and our hygienists and our DAs, just taking a lot of stuff off the table for them so that they can focus on patients and taking care of the patients. So that's, I think, where we're really heading towards in a much bigger way in the next 3 to 5 years at least.
Barry, you're getting the last word here, so.
So you'll be really excited to know that Overjet is releasing that within the next 6 months. Not only are they releasing that insurance component where all of the narratives and the perio chart and the radiographs are all attached, my front desk doesn't have to touch it. We don't miss information when it's getting sent into an insurance company, so we're not having to go back. Not only is that available, but within the next, from what I understand, 6 months or so, there's going to be point of care adjudication, which basically means while a patient is sitting in the chair, all of that information can be sent into a given insurance company, and within 5 minutes, we'll find out if there's an approval, and if there is approval, at what rate, which is not 3 to 5 years, that's now, which is bananas.
So same thing with videos. It's doing it now, but I think it's going to be...
Well, it'll just be normal.
Yeah, it's going to be more...
You're not going to have anybody sitting here in 3 to 5 years going, oh my God, isn't that cool? That's just what life is.
I agree. Yeah.
The other thing that I think is going to be that would change my life a lot would be analyzing, right now my practice uses AI to analyze phone calls and to analyze marketing efforts and to analyze smile designs and all of that kind of thing. What I would love to see from my perspective as a practice owner is taking that administrative analysis of the phone calls, the new patient numbers, the marketing efforts, and putting it in one nice little package and spreadsheet that I don't ever have to touch. And I think that's where we're going, so that a private practice owner who doesn't have an army of very skilled people with an education, because I don't know anything about that stuff, I think that that's going to be absolutely incremental with helping small businesses market efficiently, effectively, at a lower cost than we're doing now.
You should use our product for free. It does all.
We'll talk during lunch then.
Wait, you can sit
All right, so earlier when you were introducing yourselves and you were putting your Post-its on the thing and you all applauded for each other, now we'd like you to applaud for them. That was a fabulous conversation. Thank you all very much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your contributions. And thanks for staying for lunch. And it's lunchtime. So just a couple nuances around that. It's not a super long lunch. We got 45 minutes. But we do have quite a lot of work we want to do this afternoon, so that's why it's only 45 minutes. Just before the end of the 45 minutes, I'm going to bring around a piece of paper for you just as a thought stimulator that you will then take into the next activity after lunch. You guys are ready? Yeah, lunch is ready. Bon appetit. Thank you all.